This is Witch-based news for Friday the 14th of February 2025. I'm Commander Burr. In Elite Dangerous news this week, Takoso teams up with the Highwake, VKB announces a new unique throttle solution for space gamers, the Trailblazer community goal is taken offline, and more. If you enjoy our videos, consider subscribing to the channel and remember to ping the little bell to make sure you see all our community content and posts. And if you'd like to help support our channel, links to our Patreon and everything else are in the description below. Streamer and Elite Dangerous community partner programmed luminary Commander Psykit sends word this week that she's part of a concerted Space Gamer community-wide fundraising effort involved in the Game Blast weekend event in aid of the marvellous folks at Special Effect. If you're unaware, put very simply, the UK-based charity Special Effect works with individuals with physical challenges to help with, adapt and provide bespoke solutions for them so that those gamers don't need to miss out on gaming and all the benefits the hobby can bring. Special Effect have a years-long established relationship with Frontier Developments and the Elite Dangerous community and its streamers as a whole, and are a regular part of the Elite Dangerous calendar year. The Game Blast event runs over the weekend of the 21st to the 23rd of February, so next weekend as at the time of this recording, and as well as many other games, a number of Elite Dangerous streamers will be participating all weekend long, streaming Elite Dangerous as well as other space games. On Tuesday the 18th of February, in the run up to the event, Psykit will be chatting to Paige Harvey, a former community manager at Frontier who now works for Special Effect, and there will also be a quiz with prizes available to coincide with the chat with Paige. And on Friday the 21st of February there will be a special Lave Radio supplemental episode streamed live that will feature, brace yourself, both Commander Rini and I playing a version of Jeopardy live on stream. What could possibly go wrong? You'll find a link in the video description to take you to the Blast Off for Game Blast site to get you started. A new Elite Dangerous video cartoon from the Highwake is never a bad thing, and neither is a new Elite Dangerous themed tune from Commander Takoso. Combining the two together is a guaranteed good time, and then when that happens twice, well then everyone's a winner. That is, however, exactly what has happened. Serial Elite Dangerous cartoonist YouTuber The Highwake has teamed up with the luminous Elite Dangerous singer-songwriter Commander Takoso to produce not one but two videos, one on each of their respective channels. You'll find the song and accompanying video Don't Forget Your Limpets on the Highwake's channel, and on Takoso's channel this week you'll find the song and accompanying video Taking the Loop of Shame, both of which I'm intimately familiar with. If you're familiar with Takoso or the Highwake, then you'll know exactly what to expect from both, and suffice to say, neither video or song from the dynamic duo disappoints. Both of them are linked in the video description below, and remember to drop them a subscribe and a thumbs up if you haven't already. The arrival of high quality and complex space combat gameplay in the video game marketplace in recent years has presented a number of challenges for the players of those games looking for a suitably immersive peripheral based solution to their control requirements. Semi-Newtonian physics, when coupled with complete three-dimensional movement thruster control, can start to find the flexibility of movement it provides suddenly limited by control hardware that was developed to handle an aircraft that is restricted to an atmospheric environment using aerodynamic lift and constant forward momentum to maintain flight. Very different requirements to a vehicle floating in empty space with no care for any discernible up or down, let alone left to right or forwards and backwards. This isn't so much of an issue for simulated spaceships in a Star Wars style of universe where the starships are essentially glorified fighter planes, but for something like Elite Dangerous it rapidly gets more complicated. An Elite Dangerous Sidewinder could literally run rings around an X-Wing in the hands of the right pilot. Flight hardware manufacturers and the internet spaceship pilots alike have gotten round this problem in the past by employing judicious use of numerous thumbsticks, or even moving away from the traditional HOTAS hands-on throttle and stick to a HOSAS hands-on stick and stick, where the second joystick instead of a throttle grants full-on and complete all-round thruster control, a method employed by a large portion of the flight assist off community. This week however, a new option entered the control arena via a surprise announcement from our favoured premium flight control hardware suppliers here at the Burr Pit, VKB Sim. The Single Twin Engine Control System module, or STEX as it's known, has been available for some time from VKB, and for an aircraft or spacecraft pilot it's already a very impressive piece of hardware. However, one of the great things about VKB's hardware has always been its modular and highly configurable nature. Generally speaking, VKB control hardware comprises two major components, a base unit and a customised scenario specific grip. Until now, the STEX base unit has only ever had one grip option, the single or twin engine modern throttle grip. Yesterday however, VKB announced that it has been developing a space throttle grip variant specifically to accommodate the unique requirements of Starship flight. The grip is shown on the accompanying video on a standard STEX base unit and features the robust and signature stylings that regular VKB users will be familiar with, together with a wide array of switches, dials, triggers and buttons that you'd expect. There is however a unique Starship specific feature to the grip. As well as acting as a forward and reverse throttle, the new grip can tilt forward and backwards to control movement in the vertical plane and side to side to control strafing movement left to right, almost as though it was another entirely separate joystick all of its own. There are also a couple of extra space specific dials on the unit labelled as space brake system and laser power, but the reality of those is that, like all the dials, switches and buttons, they're whatever you want them to be after they've been assigned a role. The grip will be available in the left and right handed variants to accommodate the north and south footed commanders, and also comes with a physical removable throttle limiter. At the time of recording, the grip wasn't listed for ordering on the VKB website, and there's no details yet for when it will be available, but our guess is it's likely to be extremely popular when it does arrive. The Burr Pit is partnered with VKB, and you can get a 5% discount on their goods when ordering if you use the code BURRPIT at the checkout. And full disclosure, fear not, we don't benefit for recommending VKB or you using the discount code, we just really like their stuff. There are any number of features to Elite Dangerous that players will cite as being part of its charm, depth or uniqueness. The volume and scope of the procedurally generated 1:1 scale 400 billion plus star system galaxy, the 1:1 scale actual planet sized planets, the near seamless transition between space and those planetary surfaces, the ability to tinker with and modify a ship, module, suit or weapon performance via engineering to give it differing features and statistics, or even the fully flight assist off flight model and the handling tricks that can be drawn from that in the hands of the right pilot. But by no means the lesser amongst the unique features of the Elite Dangerous Galaxy is the Background Simulation System, or BGS, to give it its more familiar and commonly employed acronym. For those unfamiliar with Elite's BGS, the short version is this. In any populated system of the galaxy where commanders perform any action, it has a small effect on the state of that system. The nature, type and legality etc. of those actions will have differing effects. This is why some systems may experience wars, famine, natural disasters or elections etc. When a system is in a given particular state, it will affect what missions are available in that system and what rewards are also available. The The pushing and pulling on the BGS can also cause factions in those systems to expand into other systems or indeed retreat from a system. With the right deliberate manipulation of the BGS, all sorts of effects can be impressed onto a star system or faction, and it's this BGS manipulation and the gameplay loops that result from it that forms the majority of gameplay for a lot of players in the Bubble and Colonia regions, particularly those in squadrons. The BGS is a wonderful, wild and often unpredictable beast, but with the right knowledge and enough support it can be tamed and used by the player base for all sorts of reasons. The problem, and I use that word in the very loosest sense, with unleashing a beast like the BGS into your galaxy and allowing players to stand in front of it with a whip and a chair, is that you never quite know where it's going to go, what it's going to do, or indeed what they're going to do with it. Enter then this week's was about to finish community goal. As you're likely already aware, the Trailblazers update that will introduce Bubble expansion through colonization mechanics into the game for the first time is due to launch towards the end of this month. And as a prelude to that colonization effort, a community goal calling for exploration data has been running in the system HIP 90578 at a newly installed megaship owned by Brewer Logistics called the Trailblazer Echo. The 2-week community goal was in fact due to finish on Thursday this week, but in a somewhat unexpected twist, the megaship entered the BGS state of lockdown on Tuesday, meaning no one can deliver any exploration data to the CG megaship until the state has been lifted. The BGS lockdown state is employed by a faction as a direct result of commanders attacking and destroying their system security forces, and in case you haven't yet connected the dots, then let me pencil that in for you. This has been happening to the Brewer Logistics security ships in HIP 90578 and has been deliberately perpetrated by nefarious commanders in an attempt to achieve exactly what has now happened. In response to the lockdown, Frontier have extended the community goal running time by another week in an effort to give a counter-attack from those wishing to release the lockdown an opportunity to take hold. There are, however, a number of problems with doing this. Those most invested in releasing the lockdown are, quite obviously, those commanders that have exploration data to hand in. In order to release the lockdown, NPC criminal forces in the system have to be engaged and destroyed. That exploration data is volatile, and if the invested defending commander is destroyed, there goes all their exploration data they were so invested in. Also, it's much easier for the aforementioned nefarious attacking forces to perpetrate their crimes than it is for the defenders to take out enough pirate forces to tip the scales in the other direction, meaning, in essence, those that wish to block the community goal would almost certainly need to give up their assault on the system for the rule of law and order to be restored in time. So it does seem at this point unlikely that the lockdown will be removed before the now extended CG is over. But this is Elite Dangerous and weirder things have happened. This occurrence does raise a number of interesting debates around the game's mechanics that have tended to resurface throughout the game's history, not least of which is the issue of the crime and punishment system in the game, which, it's generally agreed, is largely ineffectual. There's also of course the issue of whether CGs should be allowed to be affected by the whims of the BGS in the first place. There is of course the argument that it's a sandbox game and players, regardless of their nefarious or otherwise motivations, should be allowed to do whatever they wish. The same argument could be leveraged for the commanders locked out of the community goal as well, however. They want to contribute to a community goal and now can't. The do what you want when you want scenario is all well and good until, of course, there's a time limited event with a nice juicy set of rewards that really encourages you to spend the majority of its runtime out in the black, only handing in at the last hour to maximise your return. Then, as we can now plainly see, the whole train comes to a slow, very uncomfortable halt just outside the station if someone decides to jam a wrench into the wheels. Personally, I can see both sides. Whilst I am a fan of the do what you want ethos and the interesting scenarios it delivers, if that interesting scenario blocks someone else from getting a really nice but time limited reward, then that does strike me as hugely unfair. Also, a CG landing in a populated system for whatever reason can seriously mess with a player faction's plans and gameplay, and there is, quite literally, nothing they can do about it until it's over. For the sake of the majority, it would seem simpler and cleaner to put any target megaship in an unoccupied system and, if possible, place it outside the control of the BGS to ensure that it runs its course as intended. But for some in the game, that runs the risk of being a little too much on the wrong side of God-handing the situation. Will you be joining us for Special Effect Jeopardy next Friday? Are you intrigued by the new VKB throttle grip? What direction are you pushing in for the community goal system? Let us know in the comments below. That's it for now. Thanks very much for watching. We'll be back later this week with more videos. Until then, 07 Commanders, follow the greens on the way out and do keep clear of the toast rack. We very much look forward to seeing you next time.